Good morning and welcome back to Saturday Morning Constitution, where we're not here to argue politics, but to understand the foundations that shape how governments work. Today, we're taking a quick break from our historical timeline to look at the main types of government, the political movements that influence them, and the parties that put those movements into action. Because if we want to understand our own system and how we got where we are, it helps to see what else is out there and to see how easy it is to drift off course so that we'll understand some of the founders' concerns. First of all, let's look at the main types of government. So we have a democracy or a republic. Here, the people vote for leaders, and those leaders have to follow the law. That's the system the United States was designed to be, a democratic republic. Next, we have constitutional monarchy. That was the type of government that England had, and that the United States, before it was the United States, when it was the colonies, they were governed by. So the United Kingdom. There's still a king or queen, but the power is limited, and elected leaders and laws do the real governing. Then there's authoritarian rule. That's when one person or a small group holds most, if not all, of the power. There's often little or no real elections. This can lead to dictatorships when authoritarian rule is done by use of military force or power. Now, governments are shaped not just by structure, but by ideas. And so some of the political movements that you'll hear about can be in any of these types of government. Here are some of the main political movements that you'll hear about. First of all, liberalism. These ideas are really focused on rights and fairness and using the government to help people. Conservatism is focused on tradition, personal responsibility, and limited government. Socialism is where the government controls major industries to reduce inequality in necessities. Communism means there's no private property at all. Everything is shared under government control fully. Populism is politics framed as the people versus the elites, and it can appear on the left or the right side of the aisle. Libertarianism wants maximum personal freedom with as little government involvement as possible. And then there's fascism, which is an extreme form of authoritarian politics. Usually has one leader or a small group of leaders, strict control, extreme nationalism, and the belief that the state or the government or the nation comes before the individual. So where do political parties fit into all of this? Well, parties are not governments themselves, but they're vehicles for these movements. So they help to carry the movement to the government. They translate ideas into actions. All of these, liberalism, socialism, fascism, our political parties take those big ideas and then they turn them into platforms and candidates and policies. Parties compete for power within a system. In a democratic republic like the US, parties run candidates for office. And if their candidates win, they get to govern. And the idea is that they'll govern based on those ideas. All of that governing has to still be done within the limits of the Constitution and the law. Parties differ around the world. In the US, we have a two-party system mostly. We have Democrats and Republicans, though some smaller parties exist. In countries like Germany or Israel, there's multi-party systems. So several parties share power by forming coalitions. In authoritarian systems, you often see one-party rule, where a single party controls the government completely. This is often because the party in control has suppressed any other ideas. Parties are the bridge between movements and government, but they can also be a danger zone. When a party starts putting loyalty to itself or its leaders above the system of law and checks and balances, that's when democracies can start to drift. So why does this matter today? Well, the US at its core is a democratic republic, but history shows even strong democracies can feel pressure from authoritarian, populist, or fascist movements. It's happened to us before, and it can happen again. It happens to countries and governments around the world all the time. Knowing these systems and movements isn't just a history lesson. It's a way to check ourselves. Are we really protecting freedom and balance, or are we slowly sliding towards something else? So there are some warning signs to watch. First, undermining elections by calling them rigged or refusing to accept results. Silencing opponents or critics. Controlling or discrediting the free press. Framing politics as us versus them. Leaders trying to expand power without any limits. These are all red flags in the real world. So what is the takeaway? Well, different governments set the rules and movements provide the ideas, while parties carry those ideas into action. But the question we always have to keep asking is, which path are we on? Are we protecting the freedoms we say we believe in? Are we following the types of government and the structures and checks and balances that we have in place? So next week on Saturday Morning Constitution, we'll jump back into our historical timeline, talk about the Articles of Confederation, as well as how we got to redoing those into the Constitution that we have today. Until then, stay curious, stay principled, and remember that understanding your freedom is part of a balanced